So this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to talk about the most common materials that I like to use when building or creating wargaming terrain. A bit different, but it's a subject where I hold a bit of knowledge and I just want to share it with you guys, especially because I keep getting asked questions. So this is a little bit of information. Hopefully you enjoy it, and post some comments and smash that like button if you do. Let's jump right in. So the first material is expanded polystyrene. This is a material which you normally get with packaging. So when you buy a kitchen appliance or something like that, it comes with this type of polystyrene. Sometimes it can be molded, it can be different thicknesses and different densities as well, and different colors. As you can see, this one is a grey, and got white sheets as well. Why do I like to use this material? Well, it's cheap or free, and it is incredibly lightweight. So I like to use this for building up certain areas, whether it's a cliff face or a big hill or something. I will use this as the main foundation, and I'll cover this with a paste of some kind, which we'll get into another video probably. I don't know, just let me know if you want to know about that kind of thing. Just post it in and I can tell you loads of stuff. Now the second thing you can use this for is as a construction material. So if you're creating buildings and things like that, because it's made of little cellular balls, you can't sculpt it as well as maybe some other materials and other polystyrenes. This is a great way to get into making scenery for yourself because it's pretty much free. And what's better than that? Second material is extruded polystyrene. So different to expanded polystyrene. Why? Because this is more compressed and more dense. Okay, so you can sculpt this and do a whole wide range of things. It's stronger, it's more rigid. Okay, so two things why I like to use this material. Well, I just mentioned one thing. You can sculpt it, cut through it, and it doesn't flake off like the expanded polystyrene. You get the most out of this if you're using hot wire tools and things like that. It will slice right through and you can get some really nice edges and good effects when it comes to using hot tools. Second reason why I like to use this material, again, it's similar to expanded in that it's lightweight. You don't want to make projects which are incredibly heavy, okay? So using this material, just like expanded polystyrene, it's going to give you the flexibility of your piece being lightweight. Plus, it's like hugely satisfying when you break it. So if you're unsure about this type of polystyrene, you normally get it, or it's described as insulation boards. This particular one is floor insulation, and you can pick this up at most builder merchants, or even on eBay. I think you can buy this. But yeah, it's really good stuff. The third thing is MDF. Okay, so I'll use this for basing. Tend to go with between 6mm and 12mm, depending on the project that I'm doing. Now this is one of the main materials I'll use for basing. The other I'll cover in a minute. So why do I use MDF? Well, because this wood is made up of lots of different fibres, it doesn't have any grain, so you can get nice curves and shapes out of it. So when it comes to bases where you want an organic shape, this is easy to do and doesn't require much sanding afterwards. Second reason, you can get hold of this relatively easily, okay, and it's not expensive. You get it in big sheets and you have to cut it yourself. Some building merchants will actually cut it for you if you ask nicely, or if they have the equipment and training to do that on site. But generally I like to use this because your projects won't tend to warp. As long as you're using the correct adhesive, they won't warp. So I use the 6mm for projects which are more like scatter pieces, which need a low profile when it needs to sit on the table. The thicker pieces, which is more of a 12, I think this is 12mm, I use that if it's maybe a centerpiece or it needs to stand out from other pieces within the board. Also, it's great if you're into dioramas and things like that, where you want a bit of a higher kind of plinth look. Number 4, we have hardboard. Okay, so similar to MDF, however this is high density, the other one is medium density. So why do I like to use hardboard? Well, hardboard is great for scatter terrain because it has a very low profile, and just like MDF, it's made up of little fibres, so it has no grain, so you can create nice organic shapes when you're cutting it. So this is great for small projects, things like objective markers, and little very small scatter terrain. This is the material that I would recommend for most people to use, okay, because it's cheap and it's a very good way to learn about basing, to get into it and to form and create and cut your own shapes yourself. I would say hardboard is the most used basing material for me, mainly because I like to do smallish projects now. I don't work on very big things. I like quick turnarounds and I like the therapeutic side of train making. So I like small projects which I can complete in a short amount of time, but will still look cool. So I would use hardboard because I don't make big pieces. It's as simple as that. Okay, so number 5. So number 5, this is going to be a bit of a double one. I have balsa wood. This is a very lightweight wood which you can pick up in most hobby stores. Can be quite expensive depending on the size and the thickness of your sheets. However, it is very useful. So why would I use balsa wood? Well, unlike hardboard or MDF, balsa wood has a good grain to it. So when you're making things like pillars or detailing like window frames and things like that, you can get a nice clean straight edge when you cut this. Second thing is that you don't need really any special adhesives in order to bond this material. It genuinely adheres really well. So what would I use it for? Well, like I mentioned, it's good for detailing things like window frames, ceilings, floorboards, things, stairs, doors. There's lots of things you can do with this. Now the other reason why I like to use this, already has a grain to it, and you can pick it out even further by using a pencil or a pen, just by engraving it. I said number 5 would be a bit of a double one, and that's because I've got plasticard as well. Okay, so plastic card or plasticard. So I doubled these two up. Why? Well, balsa wood I like to use when it comes to making medieval, historic and fantasy looking scenery. Okay, something which might require some more older looking detailing. Now plasticard on the other hand, because it is much smoother in texture, it's better for things which are more modern and sci-fi related. Okay, so old, new, that's pretty much it. I've covered balsa wood, so let's move on to a bit of plasticard just as an extra. Okay, so plasticard, the two reasons why I like to use it is because it has a very smooth, untextured finish to it, which you can then further detail and do lots to. Now, it's a bit unusual, but the second reason why I like to use this is because you can emboss it. So I have a few tools which I can run this sheet through like a roller, and it will emboss the card in different patterns as I wish. Okay, so that's why I like to use plasticard. Now it can be a bit expensive, but you can do a lot with it at the same time. And if you're into scratch modelling and you're into sci-fi looking models, plasticard is very popular. So the other reason why I like to use this is because it is very strong but still easy to cut. You can cut this with a good scalpel. Two common uses for plasticard for me would be making things like rivets or steel work, like detailing, things like hatches and electronic doors and things like that, where it's more sci-fi related. Okay, so this box here is absolutely packed full of scrap material. Okay, so a lot of this is just recycled stuff you would find around the house, or things which I would generally chuck out because it is rubbish. And I fill this box up. I have to empty it time and time again because it just overflows. But it's just packed full of things, parts of like old toys, cardboard, you know, containers from hot chocolate and drinks like that. Because why I use this type of stuff is because your pieces will end up pretty unique because of the shape of the materials. Now they might be different to what you like or what you would commonly use, So let me know, post it in the comments. Let's have a little bit of a discussion on the types of materials that you like to use, or maybe where you get your materials from. Now let's go completely off topic, and during making this video I went down the road and had a coffee, and there was this awesome band playing called Windslide, and I had my camera with me, so I videoed a little bit of it. Here it is.
Walking down the street, no shadow or did he kiss? A clock on the wall, no hands at all, no future, no present, no past. You can't save everybody, no work, no deed, no praise. You can't save everybody. Everybody don't wanna be saved.